Hello and welcome to another edition of Drone Man Scotland. This week we're looking at Newhailes House, which is a Palladian style country house standing in 80 acres of parkland on the edge of the small East Lothian town of Musselburgh. I've been looking forward to this one. I do enjoy a wee walk round Newhailes estate, so I do. There was a castle or old house near here owned by the Preston family from the 15th century, known as White Hill. White Hill is marked on Blau's map of the Lothians from 1654 and Adair's map of Mid Lothian from 1735. Scottish architect James Smith purchased White Hill in 1686 and began constructing Hailes House for his own use. Despite being Scotland's most experienced architect at the time, financial difficulties and an unsuccessful coal mining venture forced Smith to sell the house in 1701 to John Bellenden of Broughton. He was the second Lord Bellenden, who renamed it Broughton House. In May 1701, due to financial difficulties, it does seem to be an unfortunate property about this time. He sold the house to Sir David Dalrymple, 1st Baronet of Hailes, and it was to become the home of the Dalrymple family for the next 300 years. The Dalrymples of Newhailes were a dynasty of lawyers and statesmen descended from Sir James Dalrymple, 1st Viscount of Stair. Now I do enjoy a Viscount, but personally my favourite biscuit is a gold biscuit. Sir David Dalrymple renamed the house Newhailes. This was in recognition of Hailes Castle on their family estate at East Lothian. And in 1717 he added the east wing as a library to hold his vast collection of books, pamphlets, broadsheets, prints, maps and music books. His older brother John Dalrymple, 1st Earl of Stair, became one of the darkest figures in Scottish history when he organised and authorised the 1692 massacre of Glencoe. David Dalrymple died in 1721 and the property went to Sir James Dalrymple, Lord Hailes, 2nd Baronet, who extended and reshaped the house, adding a balancing west apartment wing. He also moved the entrance from the northeast to the southwest and laid out the gardens. On his death in 1751, Newhailes went to his son, Sir David Dalrymple, 3rd Baronet, a Scottish historian, antiquary and lawyer, and also Lord of Justiciary. He was one of the judges at the trial of Deacon Brodie. He died at Newhailes in 1792. As Lord Hailes died without having a son, his daughter, Miss Christian Dalrymple, inherited the Newhailes estate. She never married and lived there for 46 years. She lavished attention on the surrounding estate and developed a designed landscape, including the flower garden. She never had any children, and in 1839, Christian died at the age of 72, leaving the estate to her nephew, Charles Ferguson, to whom she was a sort of surrogate mother, as his mother had died when he was very young. Sir Charles Dalrymple Ferguson, 5th Baronet of Hailes, was a Scottish lawyer. He was educated at Harrow and became an advocate in 1822, practising at the Scottish Bar. He died at Inveresk on the 18th of March, 1849. On the death of his father, Sir Charles assumed the surname of Dalrymple in lieu of Ferguson. He was educated at Harrow School and Trinity College, Cambridge, and became a Scottish Conservative politician. We can tell from the census of 1861 that Newhailes was a considerable property with 13 servants, ranging from a butler, footmen, kitchen maids, and a dairymaid. He was created a Baronet of Newhailes in the county of Mid Lothian in 1887 and became Sir Charles Dalrymple, 1st Baronet of Newhailes. He was sworn into the Privy Council in 1905 and he substantially modernised the house in 1907. Sir Charles died in 1916 and his will was carefully drawn up to ensure that the lands and estate of Newhailes shall not be sold and be retained in the family. He was clearly aware of his only son, David's character. The estate was to be held in trust by 4 trustees. On his father's death, Sir David Charles Herbert Dalrymple became the 2nd Baronet of Newhailes and also a relatively wealthy man. Sir Charles had left around £90,000, so that's about £5 million at today's value in cash and stocks, plus Newhailes House, its estate, together with his house in London. Sir David married Anna Margaret MacTaggart Stewart in 1906, and they had a son, Charles Mark Dalrymple, in 1915. However, David and Margaret weren't destined to last and divorced in 1919 after David's widely publicised affair at the Royal Albion Hotel in Brighton with actress Mrs. Dorothy Lewis. Naughty, naughty boy. David led a hedonistic lifestyle and largely neglected Newhailes altogether. His social lifestyle put demands on the Newhailes trustees and various house antiques had to be sold at auction. David died of a heart attack in his flat near Regent's Park in London in 1932, aged only 53 years old. His son Sir Charles Mark Dalrymple became the 3rd and last Baronet of Newhailes. He was a Scottish peer and soldier who served with the 4th 5th Battalion Royal Scots Territorials from 1937 to 1940. Then in 1941, during the Second World War, he joined the Royal Air Force. He died on the 29th of June 1971 and is buried in Inveresk Cemetery. As he did not father any children, the baronetcy became extinct with his death. The last family member to live at Newhailes was Lady Antonia Dalrymple, the wife of the last baronet, Sir Mark. Having come from a grand Scottish family, the Earls of Galloway, she served during the war as a nurse. She married Sir Mark Dalrymple when she was just 20 years old and spent the next 50 years at Newhailes. Both of their families had once been very important and wealthy, but now were in somewhat reduced circumstances. In 1976, the books and Lord Hailes papers were removed to the National Library of Scotland in lieu of death duties following the death of Sir Mark Dalrymple. The government accepted around 7,000 volumes from the Newhailes Library. Her worst fear was that she would have to sell up and all these amazing contents would end up being auctioned on the lawn. And I can tell you, having been in the house, the contents are quite the sight to behold. It's amazing. Tactically, she retreated to a small apartment on the 1st floor with her beloved kitty cats and only opened the grand rooms for visitors. But in the spirit of her predecessors, with a strong sense of service to others, she kept the old vessel afloat and delivered Newhailes intact into the care of the National Trust for Scotland. After a spell of living on site in an estate cottage, she moved to a nursing home in Edinburgh and died there peacefully at the age of 91. There are quite a few points of interest scattered throughout Newhailes estate, so I'll go through them bit by bit. Firstly, in the wooded grounds, there is an obelisk monument. It's 30 foot high to Field Marshal John Dalrymple. He was the second Earl of Stair, and he was the hero of the Battle of Dettingen in the War of the Austrian Succession in 1743. There are also two unusual buildings. The first is the Shell Grotto, dating from the 1760s. The exterior of this grotto was made of large boulders and slag, intended to give the appearance of a volcano. There's evidence of a pit behind the grotto for lighting a fire, both to keep the occupants of the grotto warm and also for the production of atmospheric smoke. It seems like the Dalrymples had a bit of a fun side to them, I'd say. The interior was once panelled in wood, covered in plaster, in which were embedded shells, fragments of glass and minerals such as agate, quartz and garnet. The shells were collected by the Dalrymples from the nearby beach and as far away as China. Unfortunately, the interior of the grotto was burned and vandalised by some wee torags in the 1950s and 60s. The second building is the remains of an unusual tea house, designed in the Tuscan style and built on a bridge with views of waterfalls, and built and decorated by French prisoners of war. There is also an old lectern type ducat, probably dating from the 17th or 18th century, which sits close to the Newhailes Adventure Play Park. The park has been specifically developed for younger children and is themed on the Newhailes story. And that's all we have on Newhailes. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's one that I've been looking forward to. Newhailes is one of my favourite places to go for a wee walk, get outdoors, clear your head. It's a lovely place. Thanks also for continuing to watch and coming back, sharing videos, commenting on social media. We really appreciate everything you're doing and how much you guys seem to be enjoying the content. One last thing, and I think you ken what I'm going to say. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. It's free and it keeps you up to date with all the latest Drone Man content. And if you didn't, we're going to kidnap you and lock you up in the Newhailes ducat overnight with the spiders. Nah, I'm only kidding. But you should consider subscribing. Thanks very much, guys. Tatty bye!